And welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Peter Winnick. I'm the founder and CEO at Thought Leadership Leverage, and you're joining us on the podcast today, which is Leveraging Thought Leadership. Today, my guest is Miri Rodriguez. She's got a new book out, although most people don't come out with an old book, but I guess that's what we say. Hey, it's called The Women of Microsoft, published by Wiley. She is a best-selling author. She runs a group called Be Mindful, Be Happy, and she is a storyteller at Microsoft, but I'll let her tell her own story. So welcome, Miri. How are you?
Hi, Peter. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great. So give me this is a little meta, but getting a storyteller to tell me the story, right? How did this book come to be born?
Yeah. The story is, in celebration of Microsoft's 50th anniversary, which happened this past April. And I was reached by a woman in Poland, had never met before. She also works at Microsoft. And I love the story behind the story because it is exactly about those kind of connections that technology is able to bring together women from across the world that have never met. He reached out on Teams. I was like, "Hey, I'm thinking of writing this book. I know you've written a couple of books." So she wanted to get my perspective. And by the end of the call, she asked me to co-write with her. And I couldn't say no. I was like, "Oh no, another book." But I was excited because it is a compilation of 50 women across cultures, past and present, across the functions of the company. So different business functions across career stages, early in career, all the way to VP, all of us really telling our own stories, our individual stories of our navigation of tech as an industry, of Microsoft as a company, and of life at large. So it's a tapestry of all the stories, and it's inspirational for women all across the board.
I love that. So when you talk about I couldn't say no, I actually hear that a lot, right? And then
Okay.
you think about no, I do, when someone, well, why did you do, you're busy,
Yeah.
you're this, you're that, or why did you
Yes.
shoot the book, or why
Yes.
do you do this?
Yeah.
And I think in most businesses, and thought leadership is really different. When someone, I couldn't say no, right? They made me an offer I couldn't it's usually intrinsic,
Yes.
right? No, I'm sorry, it's usually extrinsic. It's usually,
Extrinsic.
well, I couldn't say
Correct.
no to propose. It's usually extrinsic, right? So it's
Yes.
usually the money, promotion, the prestige, the title, whatever. But my sense is, push back if I'm not reading the tea leaves right, that your I couldn't say no was more of an intrinsic I couldn't say no.
100%. It was
Is
a
that a
very
fair statement?
mission. Yes, 100%. I couldn't say no because of the mission behind this project, which I understood immediately to be it's mission driven in the way that women show up in history, which a lot of times we have not. There's been erasure of our presence, of our collaboration, of our contributions many times over in history. And when we read history books, we don't find women. We don't find how they've contributed to technology or science or education. And to me, this very particular moment, the 50th anniversary of Microsoft, marking 5 decades of technology and then entering an era of AI at the same time, which will inevitably change 50 years from now how we do life. It was really important for me to capture those stories of those women so that when we look back in history, their stories are embedded into what happened in that time, what happened in that era, and beyond that. So,
Right. So most businesses, I would say all businesses today focus on metrics, right? They've got
mhm.
their organizational metrics that trickles down to your personal metrics,
Yep.
product metrics, whatever the case may be. You come from that world, right? You come from the software tech world, et cetera. But this is a little bit different, but it doesn't mean you get a free pass and say, well, there's no metrics. But what are they? And some might be a little squishier, but how would you say if we were to talk in a year from now and say, let's look at some of the metrics and see if we achieved our objectives? How are you thinking about that?
Yeah, it's funny. At Microsoft, we do have a metric called brand love, and it's beyond the numbers. It's beyond the sales numbers or the KPIs that are specifically data percentages. They're really about this loyalty that people have to the brand because they love it, because they fall in love with it. And so for me, when I think about the success of the book, it's really what it's meant to do is inspire women across the board, not just in the tech industry, to speak their stories, to speak their truths. For so long, we have not had platforms to do this, and we shied away when we do. And so for me, I'm already getting emails, accounts of women saying, "Thank you so much. This is so inspiring. I feel inspired to tell my own story. I just had a call earlier this morning with somebody say, "Hey, I want to write a book now. I read the book. I want to write a book." It's so really inspiring women to come out of their shells. I had a man say, "I'm a girl dad. I want my girls to read the book so they can understand how powerful it is to stand in your own voice and speak your own truth." So that to me, when I look a year from now,
So
what
stay
we
stay there a minute.
okay.
Yeah, stay there because even that sharing piece, I
Yeah,
think there's different levers or levels or layers of that. So, like,
sure.
10 years ago, whenever it was when, Sandberg came out with the circles and all that, it
Yep.
was sort of a closed sharing, if you will, right? Come
Yep.
up with your
Yep.
people, the community, share there, and I think that's sort of one level of sharing, but I feel like you wanna push that a little bit in terms of saying, "Don't just share with other women," that's an important thing to do, but share with your team, share with your org, share with your is that
Oh,
true?
100%. It's share with your network. Share with people you don't know that it speaks to you that you know they need it. I mean, this is a 50 stories that you will find each individually in their own power, telling you something that you didn't know before about the women that have sat in this incredible company. This is a once, we've never done this before. And to me, it's a sharing, it's a force multiplier. It's not sharing one piece of wisdom, one piece of advice is 50 from different angles, different perspectives in different parts of the world. So,
If you're enjoying this episode of Leveraging Thought Leadership, please make sure to subscribe. If you'd like to help spread the word about our podcast, please leave a 5-star review at ratethispodcast.com/LTL and share it with your friends. We're available on Apple Podcasts and on all major listening apps, as well as at thoughtleadershipleverage.com/podcast. And of those 50, and maybe it's too early to tell, and that's fine, are there a couple that are bubbling up to the top of saying, wow, for some reason, people are really resonating with so and so's story. I would have thought it might have been this story. You seeing any of that? Because I find it's interesting when
we
you
are.
leave some to the wild,
Yeah,
what
yeah, yeah,
resonates,
yeah.
what. So yeah, tell me about
Like
that.
we are. Where there's a story about a woman who is actually right now in Ukraine, and it tells her perspective from being in the war, in the middle of war, having to wake up and get her kids up out of bed and to go to school and live a somewhat normal life and go to work in the middle of this, situation that she is living in her country. As she's being asked, did you choose to stay? Why have you not left? And she's like, this is my country. I want to be here. I'm hoping this ends. And so we forget a lot of times we forget that there's people right now living horrific situations, yet they have to get up and act, like everything is okay. Like mom is mom and mom takes me to school and the kids have to go to school. And so that's resonating a lot. I think it's important to understand the globalization that we live in today, that we're not far removed from things happening all across the world and not just across the pond. And I think that's important. Another one is of course Basu. She is the VP of security at Microsoft. So she already brings a huge platform with
Right.
her. She's an
Right.
incredible leader. So the minute she puts something out, everybody responds. And I think it's really right now particularly important because we are in the era of AI. People are looking at Microsoft in terms of security as a technology because that's
Sure.
very much part of the era. So she brings in with her own platform a lot of audiences looking into the book and saying, "Oh, this is interesting that that these Microsoft women are talking about their personal stories." So,
I love that. So tell me a little bit. I encounter people all the time in my work that have something they wanna say, something that either to monetize it, or have impact, whatever the underlying drivers are, and they've got, a job at a big company, and they have to wrestle with the issue of, "Where does this fit?" And I think about that on a continuum from, "Well, this is a side hustle. This is a nights and weekend thing. Hmm, this could be part of my job, right? If I'm out there speaking about this, it's actually good for me, good for the company,"
yeah.
to, "I'm a company spokesperson." How did you sort of thread that needle?
Yeah. So I'll say I'm not a company spokesperson. So I'll, I will tell you, this is a disclosure. I am not, I am acting as an independent writer. But I am at Microsoft. I am an employee. I think to answer your question, this is from a mission driven perspective. Everything does intertwine if you have a specific mission. And for me, my mission and my career has been led through this mission of empowering women and their voices and their stories. I am a storyteller outside of Microsoft as I am inside of Microsoft. I have connected with women across the entire world for 20 years. I have coached them. I have talked
Right.
about them. I have empowered. So it's not one or the other. It's this and that and that and that, and it all comes into this bubble of a mission-driven approach. And for me particularly, yes, it does intertwine. I can't, I don't divorce one aspect of me to come in at Microsoft and do this one thing. The women that I connected at Microsoft, I mean, women that I have met or not met, but that I've known for someone else. So it's a one big tapestry of a puzzle.
So if someone's out there and they're thinking about this now,
Yeah,
once you knew this was becoming a thing that you had to do,
yeah.
how did you address now the 50th anniversary is interesting just coincidentally because I would imagine if it was the 43rd anniversary, you would have found another reason to make it timely, right? Like that just kind of works,
Sure,
right?
sure.
How did you approach whether your boss or the powers that be to say, "Hey, this is a thing, and
Yeah,
I really wanna do this," and
yeah,
not that they give you a pass on
yeah.
your job very well, but how do I do this effectively?
Mhm.
And what
Yeah,
help
again,
you?
what right. So back to the mission-driven approach. When I speak to my managers, when I speak to people that know me or that I am speaking about my
Right.
next steps in my career inside and outside Microsoft, they know
Yes.
what my mission is. They know what I'm about. So I won't take a job, for example, that doesn't align to my mission. I just won't. I won't.
Right.
And I won't
Okay.
take, or I've taken jobs that are lateral just because they am aligned with my mission. And I think there's an expansion of what I want to do next. And so when you come in and you say, I am about women empowerment. I'm about
Right.
delivering voices. I'm about inclusion. I'm about all these things. People already know that, and what they offer you, it's almost like like a platform expander that offer you that opportunity. So
Right.
it's not about, like you said, asking permission. It's about saying, "Hey, this really aligns with what I'm already doing. This book is just it just makes sense. It's just part of what I already do. So I'll go do that."
So that's interesting because if you were just, say, a programmer
Yeah.
and there's no history in your career to say, "Why should I be talking about agility or whatever your thing is?" But
Mhm.
your background said, "Of course I'm to do this. Look at the roles I've taken. Look at my" so
Absolutely.
your track record, your opportunities that you took and opportunities that you didn't take are so much aligned to this thinking that
Yeah.
it would almost be like, "We were waiting for this conversation."
It just
So
absolutely, makes sense. That's why
I
you
like
can't
that.
say no. It comes to you. There's some points that get there's I think, and I do believe in the universe aligning to your perspective when you are in so aligned with yourself. It just the universe comes and throws these things at you. Here's a book, go write it. Okay, great. I might
Right.
go do that. And like my company, Impress.ai, that's another part of that. I'm
Right.
building a company that is actually a Microsoft partner. I'm a Microsoft employee and partner right now, where I was
Yes.
saying that I'm doing this for women, and
Right.
so they know that they know this about me, and it's just part of who I am. I'm just continuing to create channels of external and internal channels of where my mission can go, and this is just one of them.
So I want to touch on something you said there in terms of, and I've seen this with others before,
Yeah.
where the definition or the roles evolve over time. So I've had clients
Mhm.
that have been employee of company X, already as thought leaders,
Yeah.
evolved where
Yeah.
their company becomes their first client or research partner or whatever. So I think that's another important way to think that the world isn't so binary, right?
Mhm.
Relationships could evolve, change,
All the time.
whatever, and you have to think about it in that standpoint. Alright, as we start to wrap here, any final thoughts or pearls of wisdom to drop on folks that are where you might have been, say, 2, 3 years ago in this process?
Yeah, where I was, it was 2 years ago. I'll say this, and I think for everyone who thinks about thought leadership, we think of it's a multifaceted approach to how we enter business and life together. I think
Right.
you do both. You're always doing both, and you're intertwining the journey. My pearls of wisdom is, what once you hit this space where you know exactly what you are about, you've tested different things as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as a career. You've tested, but you
Right.
got to a place where you know this is it. This is your sweet spot. That is where you hone down to then make it a force multiplier, and it begins to compile. It begins to compile. And so if you stay, a lot of
And
people
that
want to. I was going to say a lot
I
of
will say
people
that
want to.
sweet spot meaning I just wanna clarify the sweet spot piece is really about the idea and the platform, because it's hard to do this if you're like a lot of people where you've got 10 ideas and every time I talk to you, you've got another thing and another thing and another thing.
Exactly.
You've got to get that laser focus. Yeah.
Exactly. No, I was gonna say, and this is
Go,
why
go.
something like a okay, I was gonna say, this is why something like a book project no longer seems so big because it just aligns to what you're already doing. It's just part of it. And so it's not this it's dissonant to your to who you are. It is part of who you are. Anything else comes along. It's like that. Yeah.
Fantastic. This has been great. I wish you the best of luck with the continued success of the launch and the book and all the other things. So thank you so much, Larry. Thanks.
To learn more about Thought Leadership Leverage, please visit our website at thoughtleadershipleverage.com. To reach me directly, feel free to email me at peter@thoughtleadershipleverage.com. And please subscribe to Leveraging Thought Leadership on iTunes or your favorite podcast app to get your weekly episode automatically.